Want to pass the AWS Cloud Practitioner in 2026? Here are the hardest real exam questions you need to know. Pause the video, test yourself, and let's see if you can get all correct. Question 16. Which of the following AWS storage services can be directly used with on-premises systems? The options are A, Amazon Simple Storage Service, Amazon S3, B, Amazon EC2 Instance Store, C, Amazon Elastic Block Store, EBS, D, Amazon Elastic File System, Amazon EFS. This question is asking which AWS storage service you can connect to directly from your on-premises servers as if it were a normal shared file system. Think of it as which AWS storage lets my data center servers mount and use AWS storage over the network. The correct answer is D, Amazon Elastic File System, Amazon EFS. Amazon EFS is a managed network file system that supports NFS, so both AWS resources and on-premises servers can mount it over the network using secure connectivity such as AWS Direct Connect or VPN. This makes it suitable when a business wants hybrid storage, where on-premises applications and cloud resources share the same files. Why the other options are incorrect? Amazon S3 is object storage accessed via HTTP APIs or S3 endpoints, not a traditional file system that servers mount directly like NFS. It is great for backups, static content, and data lakes, but it is not a direct file system mount for on-prem servers. Amazon EC2 Instance Store is ephemeral local storage that physically lives on the host for a specific EC2 instance and cannot be attached to on-premises systems at all. Amazon EBS provides block storage volumes for EC2 instances in a single availability zone and cannot be directly attached or mounted to on-premises servers. Quick memory tip. For hybrid file shares with on-prem servers AWS, think EFS equals network file system you can mount over VPN or Direct Connect. EFS equal elastic file share for everyone on-prem's cloud. If this video is helping you, support us by hitting the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Question 17. Which AWS service would you use to create a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud where you can launch AWS resources in your virtual network? The options are A, Subnet, B, Virtual Private Network, VPN, C, Virtual Private Cloud, VPC, D, Network Access Control List. This question is asking which AWS service creates your own private isolated network space in the AWS cloud where you control IP addresses, subnets, and routing. Think of it as what gives me my own private section of AWS to launch EC2 instances, databases, and other resources securely? The correct answer is C, Virtual Private Cloud, VPC. Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, VPC, lets you provision a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud where you can launch AWS resources in a virtual network that you define. You have complete control over your networking environment, including IP address ranges, subnets, route tables, and network gateways, making it the foundation for secure, isolated cloud deployments. Why the other options are incorrect. Subnet is a segment within a VPC, not the isolated network itself. You divide your VPC into subnets, public and private, to organize resources, but the VPC is the main container. Virtual Private Network, VPN, is a secure connection method between your on-premises network and AWS, but it doesn't create the isolated network space. It just connects to it. Network Access Control List, NAL, is a security layer that controls inbound and outbound traffic at the subnet level, but it's a feature inside a VPC, not the isolated network itself. Quick memory tip. Think VPC equals your private cloud. VPC equals Virtual Private Cloud, your own isolated network in AWS. Everything else, subnets, NALs, route tables, lives inside your VPC. Question 18. Which AWS services can be used together to send alerts whenever the AWS account root user signs in? Select 2. The options are A, Step Function, B, SQS, C, Lambda, D, CloudWatch, E, SNS. This question asks which two AWS services work together to detect root user login activity and send you an immediate alert notification. Think of it as, what AWS services do I need to monitor for root login and then notify me about it? The correct answer is D, CloudWatch, E, SNS. Amazon CloudWatch, specifically CloudWatch Events Event Bridge, is used to create an event rule that detects AWS console sign-in via CloudTrail events where the user identity.type is root. Once CloudWatch detects this root login event, it triggers Amazon SNS, Simple Notification Service, which sends real-time notifications via email, SMS, or other endpoints to alert you immediately. This is a critical security best practice because root account activity should be tightly monitored and rarely used. Why the other options are incorrect. Step function is used for orchestrating multi-step workflows and business processes, not for sending simple event notifications. SQS, Simple Queue Service, is a message queue for decoupling applications and buffering messages, but it doesn't send notifications directly to users. It holds messages for processing. Lambda can be used as part of the alerting workflow, CloudWatch Lambda SNS, but the question asks for the simplest two-service combination, which is CloudWatch plus SNS directly. Lambda is optional, not required. Quick memory tip for root login alerts. Think CloudWatch watches plus SNS notifies. CloudWatch equals detective, SNS equals messenger. Question 19. Which of the following AWS services can be used to forecast your AWS account usage and costs? The options are A, AWS Cost Explorer, B, AWS Simple Monthly Calculator, C, AWS Cost and Usage Reports, D, AWS Budgets. This question asks which AWS service has built-in forecasting capabilities to predict your future AWS spending based on your past usage patterns. Think of it as, which tool can tell me what my AWS bill will likely be next month or for the next 12 months? The correct answer is A, AWS Cost Explorer. AWS Cost Explorer is the only service among these options that provides built-in cost forecasting functionality. It uses your historical usage data from the past 12 months to predict future costs for up to 12 months ahead with an 80% prediction interval, meaning there's an 80% chance your actual costs will fall within the forecasted range. You simply select a future date range in Cost Explorer, and it automatically displays forecasted spending in charts and downloadable reports, making it ideal for budget planning and financial decision making. Why the other options are incorrect. AWS Simple Monthly Calculator, now replaced by AWS Pricing Calculator, is used for estimating costs before you build or migrate workloads to AWS. It's for planning new projects, not forecasting existing account usage. AWS Cost and Usage Reports provide detailed historical billing data in CSV format for analysis, but they don't generate forecasts. They're raw data reports. AWS Budgets allows you to set spending limits and receive alerts when costs exceed thresholds, but it doesn't forecast future costs on its own. It works best when paired with Cost Explorer's forecasts. Quick memory tip. Think Cost Explorer equal crystal ball for AWS costs. Cost Explorer forecasts, budgets alerts. They work together, but only Cost Explorer predicts the future. To get the free PDF, simply watch this full video. As you watch, you'll see the progress bar generating your PDF in real time. Once the video is almost complete, the download button unlocks automatically. No forms, no sign up, just learn first, then download. Question 20. The DevOps team at a big data consultancy has set up EC2 instances across 2 AWS regions for its flagship application. Which of the following characterizes this application architecture? The options are A, deploying the application across 2 AWS regions improves security. B, deploying the application across 2 AWS regions improves performance. C, deploying the application across 2 AWS regions improves availability. D, deploying the application across 2 AWS regions improves scalability. This question asks, what is the primary benefit of deploying your application across multiple AWS regions instead of just one region? Think of it as, if one entire AWS region goes down due to a major outage or disaster, what advantage does having a second region give you? The correct answer is C. Deploying the application across 2 AWS regions improves availability. Deploying applications across multiple AWS regions is primarily done to improve high availability and fault tolerance. Each AWS region is completely isolated from other regions. So if one entire region experiences an outage due to natural disasters, power failures, or infrastructure issues, your application can continue running in the other region, ensuring business continuity and minimal downtime. This multi-region architecture is essential for disaster recovery and maintaining service availability even during catastrophic regional failures. Why the other options are incorrect? Brief. Security is not the primary benefit of multi-region deployment. Security is managed through IAM, encryption, VPCs, and security groups, not by spreading resources across regions. Performance can be a secondary benefit if users are geographically distributed, reduced latency, but the question doesn't mention global users, just 2 regions for the same application, which is primarily for availability. Scalability refers to the ability to handle increased load by adding more resources, which can be done within a single region using auto-scaling. Multi-region deployment doesn't inherently improve scalability, it improves availability. Quick memory tip. Think multi-region equals don't put all eggs in one basket. If one region fails, the other keeps you alive equals high availability.